Hey everybody, so by now you've surely heard about Take Us North, the Microsoft-funded narrative-driven adventure and light survival game where you essentially play as a human a guide, getting a group of people over the US-Mexico border illegally. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever under the current socio-political climate.
Please disperse! Nothing to see here, please!
Oh god, it's going to be one of those videos, isn't it? Seriously, I really do want to talk about this though, and much more today. Prepare yourselves because there's going to be a lot of ranting on this one and a lot of dismantling lies, delusions, and false narratives. This project is pretty insane, and it isn't even that it exists, it's more so the way that the entire thing was presented and the way that it exposes how deeply ingrained ideological propaganda and activism are in the highest peaks of the games industry. It's solely because of that a game like this even exists in the first place, because games like these don't operate the way normal games do in the industry, and sadly it's very normal for some people out there to basically see the shift that we've been kind of experiencing throughout 2025, where talking about these matters and calling out blatant social, political, or ideological activism in video games and other forms of entertainment has become more common, and of course a huge widespread rejection of games that either go all in on injections of divisive contemporary garbage or that do lighter elements of it. And it's not even that sometimes the rejection is specifically because people have this in mind. Sometimes the rejection is just natural. It's because the games that these things produce are not good games, and so naturally even normal people who aren't thinking about this stuff avoid those games because the games just, let's be honest, they suck. The more of this stuff you throw in there, the more of your mentality while making a game is focused on activism rather than just making a good game, the worse the game will be. It's just a law of the universe. I don't make the rules. So anyway, it's very normal for some people to see these kinds of effects over the past year and think, oh, it's done. It's over. We won. The world and the industry is healing and we can move on now. But no, not even close. We still have a long way to go. The way normal games operate is that you actually have to make good content that sells in order to have money to make more games in the future. Or you gotta have a really appealing idea that makes backers or publishers interested in funding or buying your idea. And then back to the first thing, you have to make a game that's actually good and has a genuine interest going for it in order for it to sell, make money, and then you keep the ball rolling. But this isn't the way that ideologically driven dogshit like this gets made. This stuff gets funded off the back of socio-political interests and with the intent of social impact or social change. Some studios out there let this thing slip, or they put it out in the open because they think it looks good. A heartbreaking example of it being CD Projekt Red, straight up having it explicitly written in their website after their corporatization efforts over the past couple of years. Social impact may be fine for some games, but it's a terrible thing for gaming to adopt in general because it clashes with fantasy, fiction, and escapism. When you want your game to have social impact based on cringy ass current day garbage going on in the world, you are forced to make compromises that are going to break players' immersion just to send these stupid positive messages that you are so desperate to send. And much more often than not, this fails completely because of the hyper-fictionalized setting that you're brute forcing your garbage into. And that's just one of the reasons. There's also others, one of which being something that hits me personally, because I'm not American. I'm on the other side of the goddamn ocean, and I have to sit here and look at stupid Californian shit and fringe American issues that I can't even relate to in real life being rammed into fantasy or sci-fi settings that they don't even belong in. And the sad part of it on top of that is that the messages are actually never positive, humane, and unifying. They're always blatantly aggregated to far-left ideologies. So if you're a far leftist, you're having a great time. Though you're also probably not buying the goddamn game in the first place, but that's something I already covered in another video. It's the one on screen right now, feel free to check it out if you want to. I will link it in the description and on the top comment. It asks and answers the very important question of where is the modern audience? Why aren't they supporting these games that were specifically made to cater to them and instead just letting them die out? Now back to this. So if you are anything at all right from far left, you're having to put up with immersion breaking dog shit that you're already beyond tired of hearing about because it's everywhere. It's on the news 24/7, it's on the radio, it's on social media, it's shit that known music artists and movie stars are posting about, it's shit that's present in modern movies, TV shows, cartoons, advertisements, publicity, comic books, so on, so forth, shit, even marketing for random crap like fashion, clothes, perfumes, cosmetics, beverages, etc. dip into it. It's everywhere, even when it's not. I mean, take the whole thing with the jeans ad from Sydney Sweeney very recently. It got turned into a matter like this when it had nothing to fucking do with it. It's everywhere, and it's been everywhere for years now. It's political brain rot that just keeps generating even more brain rot. Video games should exist to get away from it. At least that's what they used to be. You would just, no matter what's going on at work, no matter what's going on at life, no matter what's going on in the world, you would be able to grab a video game, pop the disc in, play it, have yourself a good goddamn time, and forget about it. Now, it's in there too. And honestly guys, I'm already being so incredibly chill when I say all of this because I'm not even mentioning how batshit insane some of those messages are. Again, it's nothing positive, human, unifying, or relatable. Some morons like to say that every story has a message, especially when talking about movies. And yeah, a lot of older stories did, and some still do. But they are positive, moral messages, like Lord of the Rings for example. Again, positive, humane, inspiring, and unifying stories, but there's something wrong with these people's brains here. So they're capable of looking at Lord of the Rings, call it racist, literally write articles about it, and then once they get a hold of the goddamn IP, they go and try to humanize the orcs. Gee, I wonder what they meant by that.
What do you mean by that?
There's a reason why so many people are complaining of fatigue lately. It's because they're literally fatigued of seeing the same shit getting brought up no matter what politics or opinions they have. People are craving escapism, and no matter where they look, they're being bombarded with the same tiring shit in every shape, color, and format. Video games especially should be a place free of this social impact garbage because of how hyper-fictional games have always been. Not just in their settings, but in the experiences that they provide. Why is it that we got so mad whenever politicians would come out and say, video games cause violence because video games are violent? And it's like, no, it's not. It's a fucking video game. It's fiction. It's not real. And yet now we want to make things have real, targeted impacts in reality through video games? Are you stupid? Of course, we know why they want to do this. They want to do this because they want to turn gaming into a platform for propaganda. And the funniest thing is, the creators of this game even admit it themselves, but we'll get there in a second. So getting back to it, normal games have to earn their way up. Mistakes are actually detrimental to studios, and flops can land them in mass layoffs and even shutdowns. And hell, even being featured on Gamescom is a very difficult thing to do, especially for quote-unquote indie projects. And I say quote-unquote because these morons are calling themselves and this game an indie project. But it's just not. Indie means independent, and this game has the backing and financial funding of Microsoft and much more beyond that. We'll be getting into that in a second. In the last few days, we also saw Ubisoft say that Prince of Persia is going indie as they announced a new one, Prince of Persia Rogue or whatever. It seems that someone needs to remind these dumbasses what indie means because they clearly don't know the meaning of the word. It's a huge privilege to be highlighted at Gamescom. Usually indie projects get some trailers shown throughout the show's presentations, but this game here got the whole VIP treatment, a whole showcase just for Take Us North, where this woman stood on stage and spewed propaganda for the entire duration of the presentation without even showing a goddamn trailer.
Great, so I got a little intro, thank you. My name's Carla Reyes, my pronouns are she, her, and yeah, I run a little indie studio called Anima Interactive. We're developing Take Us North, which is about migration across the US-Mexico border, which is obviously a very relevant and heavy-hitting topic, but that's why we found it important to talk about. Because it's very deeply rooted in research. Given how sensitive and complex and nuanced the subject matter is, we want to make sure that we are telling these stories authentically, and that we are reaching our goal in trying to shift hearts and minds around this. So before I begin, I'm actually curious to ask all of you, because I'm mindful there might not be many Americans in the room. Are there any Americans, by the way?
Hey, Bobby, Rook, I'm American.
I think I'll use my credit card.
Could I ask, what are your perceptions around like the motivations behind migration across the U.S.-Mexico border? Like, what are you hearing in the headlines in the news? What do you think is the primary motivation for people from Latin America or otherwise crossing the U.S.-Mexico border?
Who cares?
In the U.S., one of the narratives that's being pushed is obviously, you've probably heard this, Americans or they'll often say Latin Americans, or they'll be reductive to Mexicans. They will say like they're just stealing our jobs, right? Like
Shut the fuck up. Let me die in peace.
Part of what we're trying to do is challenge this misinformation, right? So
misinformation.
Let me just quickly show a couple of videos here. So we've done like voice of the people style interviews to ask people about their understanding about migration across the U.S.-Mexico border.
What the fuck am I doing here? And like, who are these people?
Public opinion on why people migrate to
U.S. Oh, hold on. I want to make sure this audio works.
This is a video game?
Goal with Take Us North is really to try to humanize migrant stories and capture some of the complexity and nuance. Basically, in the game, you play the role of a migrant guide or a guia, often known as coyotes. Coyotes are often associated with the drug trade. People mentioned carteles before, but it's more complicated than that. And
it is more complicated. It's worse. We're collaborating with Undocumented Filmmakers Collective. Oh my God.
Who has done extensive research both in Latin America and along the border. He published a book last year called Soldiers and Kings, which is all about smuggling across the Mexico border. And we've been working with his team. And there's also a collection of makers in the U.S. So these are people who are artists and storytellers in their own right, but they actually also have experience of having crossed the border. So here you can kind of just see, like, side by side, a lot of the context that we're trying to
One second, time. Look.
And it's primarily set
Okay, can you swear here? Can you swear? Okay. Fuck you! I'll tell you! This is bullshit!
Nature, and they're trying to keep...
Because there's a lot of misinformation on both sides, actually, right? Like, one of the things, too, that I think is not captured very well is that migrants from all over the world are actually traveling to Latin America in an attempt to make the journey to the US. You see people from Southeast Asia, from Africa. It's not just Mexicans and it's not just Latin Americans, right? And I think this is something that also not that many people are aware of.
It's incredible to me every single time how activists like to pose as the minorities and the ones who the world is up against, the ones who are misrepresented and disadvantaged, while actually being the most privileged people on the planet, doing no commendable work at all, having a dead fucking game in their hands whose initial trailer on YouTube got 4,000 views, a dislike ratio, and a channel with 61 subscribers. But hey, here you go, a whole showcase with airtime in one of the biggest gaming events of the year. Do you have any idea how many starving, actual indie game developers would have killed to have such a privilege? Of course, it doesn't really matter to them. Studios making activist garbage to serve up propaganda to the masses have a totally different mission and work on a totally different way. They get funded by gigantic corporations like Microsoft, and even if they don't turn in any money, it doesn't matter. They'll get funded again anyway, because making games for the sake of the art, for the sake of delivering an entertainment product and value to the people is not really the mission. And this game and its creators don't even bother hiding it or disguising it like so many others, so it's not even one of those cases where people can come out crying, "Misinformation! Misinformation! You're lying! You're just making things up! This is just a video game!" Because they publicly announced it all themselves. They put it all out in the open and they're very blatant about it. And the things that have been uncovered since have made the situation even crazier. Let's get into it. So let's take a look at their own statements here from their own website. This is some information on the studio behind it. Anima Interactive is a socially conscious indie game studio that blends art and technology to drive positive cultural impact. With video games as the largest entertainment medium in the world, we strongly believe in the immense untapped opportunity for interactive media to drive real-world positive change. Entertainment shapes culture, and culture shapes society. As developers, we have a responsibility to expand perspectives. We're a small but mighty team of artists, storytellers, and activists. They literally come out and say it themselves. Again, good luck making those dumbass arguments of this is just a game, you're lying. They just laid it all out themselves for everyone to see. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, activists dotted across the globe. The dev team behind Take Us North represents over 15 countries, including Argentina, Colombia, Guatemala, Mexico, the Netherlands, the US, the UK, and Spain. Our team is over 60% BIPOC, which by the way means Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Literally could just write people of color and it would be the same thing, but the more letters you add, guys, the more legit and special it looks, so that's why. Anyway, or so I heard anyway. 60% BIPOC and over 60% female non-binary, and we aim to challenge the status quo in the broader games industry. Jesus Christ, what a load of bullshit. Let's start by running all of this garbage through the translator. I love how they tell on themselves immediately about how special they find themselves to be for being over 60% BIPOC and female non-binary. Are we not done villainizing men and white people yet? Like, isn't this a little, I don't know, outdated? Isn't this strategy proven to be a stupid idea? Are these tards really still leaning so heavily on this angle? Seriously, let's just get honest here for a second. Has this constant trend of pretending like white people and men in general are some kind of disgusting, vile, garbage, demonic thing that needs to be eradicated worked for, anything at all? Has it done any good at all? Has it brought any kind of positivity onto the world? No, right? Yeah, no, it hasn't, has it? The only thing you do when you do this is you out yourself as a racist and a moron, but anyway, let's just move on. So they apparently want to challenge the status quo in the broader games industry. Again, listen to the words that they say. This isn't about inclusivity, this isn't about carving their own space in the games industry to make their own games in, which they've always have, everyone has always have. The games industry has never gate-kept anyone from making their content. Their goal here is simply about excluding everyone else. It's about destroying what the games industry is and represents. The fucking status quo they want to challenge is also otherwise known as ideas and directions that make money, such as, actually making good games that appeal to gamers. Crazy idea, imagine that. But actually, you know what? Scratch that entirely. Who are we kidding here? What am I even talking about? This hasn't been the status quo in the industry for a long time now. Why are all these companies going down in the AAA sector? That's because this isn't the status quo anymore. It hasn't been for years. The status quo now is this clown show of activism being forced into the industry. That's why all major AAA studios and publishers are ham-fisting this into their companies. And look at the crap that goes down at the Game Developer Conference. Pause if you need to, I'll be sliding these through the screen. It's a bunch of presentations geared towards teaching motherfuckers how to make overly sensitive, censorious, politically captured content. Shit, we even have one of them going full caps lock, exposing themselves by blatantly saying it, putting it all out in the open. It's the same old story. And what are the and if you look at who's sponsoring these and who's participating in these, it's big studios and big publishers. Again, same old story. Always blatant, always in the open, but you still got people denying that it's real. We also have some brave ones sometimes saying that, yeah, of course it is real and it's good, and if you don't think so, you're a bigot, this is a good thing. What's the problem with this existing? The problem? Just look around. Why are these companies losing money? Why are we constantly going through layoffs? Why are project cancellations happening all the time? Are we just going to do the classic thing that so many people do, so many content creators do? They disappoint the shit out of me, of avoiding touching on these matters. The other matters, oh yes, let's talk about Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer's bad. Let's talk about the moron at PlayStation. The moron at PlayStation is also bad. Let's talk about Andrew Wilson. He's terrible. Let's talk about Bobby Kotick. What a douchebag. Let's talk about Microsoft. Why did you acquire so many things, man? Oh, Sony, you're wasting hundreds of millions of dollars, billions probably, on my live services, but nobody touches on the rest. Everybody wants to talk about this stuff because it's easy, but nobody wants to touch the elephant in the fucking room. And whenever channels like mine do, oh, they're grifters. They're grifting, look at them. That doesn't even make any sense. What do you mean? How could any of this produce a bad game?
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
It's got nothing to do with that. Nothing at all. They can eat my entire ass. The whole thing. This is the status quo already. They govern it. Nobody else ever had this kind of power and grip in the industry. Never before did you have companies, external institutions, and event shows like this bending over backwards to put activists forward, financing them and protecting them. And even then, that's not enough for them. They still want to eradicate every little bit of the identity that the games industry had by converting beloved major franchises into sludge. Oh, and by the by, we're a small team is BS too. Just hang in there, we're getting to that part in a bit. The socially conscious hogwash in the first paragraph is what we already went through. Positive cultural impact, though, is a whole other ballgame. It is really just social and cultural impact. The positive part is subjective and they can't back it up or argue for it. It's just what they constitute as positive, like for example hiring 60% BIPOC and 60% women and non-binary, because the fewer men and white people in their team the better, because white people and men are not positive. Gotta avoid that as much as you can, fellas.
You can't do it, it's disgusting!
Similarly, it goes with the thematics of their game. It's really a bunch of BS that they can't justify or argue for. It goes hand in hand with the other sentence below. Entertainment shapes culture, and culture shapes society. In their mind, positive cultural impact is to present a totally disingenuous interpretation of illegal immigration and the problems behind it, problems which the world has more than acknowledged, and more specifically, that the United States of America has acknowledged over the past 4 years and in their last election, which is what I'm going to be focusing mostly here because this is a game set in America and tackling an American problem. Murder, drugs, gangs, human trafficking, etc. are all major issues they've had to deal with for a long time and which are directly linked with illegal immigration. And actually that keyword is very important. Illegal. Because anytime that this matter comes up, people like these far-left morons and streamers continue to obfuscate and conflate legal US citizens who happen to be immigrants, which are totally fine and people have no problem with illegals who cross the border illegally. And the reason why they do this is because they know that they are cooked if they try to engage the argument honestly. They know that they cannot defend the situation, they know that they cannot ignore the consequences, they know that they have no valid points, they know they got nothing. All they have is obfuscation, theatrics and violence, and that's why they can't make it work. That's why they lose in the polls. And what little people they still have listening to them are all on a timer. The day will come where they will wake up and realize that they've been lied to. And when that happens, they're never going to trust them again. But anyway, back to the issue. Of course, none of this automatically means that all illegals are those things and go into America for bad reasons, of course not. But those things are still a reality that needs to be contended with because it just got too far, and far-left activists run away from it like the plague. In their mind, none of that is true, and so all deportation is bad, and all illegals should be embraced, helped, and treated as victims. They were even trying to treat that one guy who was a wife-beater and etc. It is an utterly delusional stance that is never going to go anywhere because those rising problems would never get fixed. In fact, they would just get worse. You can't just turn a blind eye to obvious reported shit that is going on in the world. The evidence is right there, and honestly, the reason why things have have reached such a critical level right now, with such harsh measures, is because too many politicians sat on their asses for years avoiding the problem as it kept rising, literally avoiding finding better solutions, letting it fester while paving the way to the more extreme measures that we're seeing right now. So here, in their mind, positive cultural impact is to allow those problems to keep happening just so that we can all feel better about ourselves in some weird way where we ignore the victims of those problems. And here's another cold hard fact for these morons to contend with in respect to that quote, entertainment shapes culture and culture shapes society. Society has already decided on this matter. They already decided that they don't have to put up with the problems that open borders and unchecked illegal immigration create. They already decided that last November and voted overwhelmingly against it. A video game trying to obfuscate reality is not going to change that. With video games as the largest entertainment medium in the world, we strongly believe in the immense untapped opportunity for interactive media to drive real-world positive change. What this sentence really means is that they recognize the immense untapped potential for propaganda in video games. These people aren't in the games industry because they want to create stories and fun experiences, or even to tell special stories that are near and dear to their heart, which they could have done here with this game. Like, this game didn't have to be a literal people smuggling simulator except renamed to mean something else totally sanitized that tries to avoid the brutal, harsh criminal realities of coyotes in real life and of those crossings. There's so many different ways of telling a story and framing a story. But these people, they don't care. Because again, they're not in the industry because they want to tell stories, they're in the industry because they want to use its wide reach to spread their bullshit. You know, alongside all the other mediums that have already been infected, like movies, TV, streaming services, comic books, etc. And lastly, as developers, we have a responsibility to expand perspectives. This is the saddest part of the message, not because it's the worst part, not at all, but because it's being so widely adopted by so many studios that got corporatized, like the aforementioned CD Projekt Red. Developers don't have a goddamn responsibility to anything. I hate these parasitical ideals. These people who love to impose their boring, shitty, fake, altruistic beliefs on everyone else. Impose an artificial importance, weight, and impact of their work on others with statements like these. Developers' sole responsibilities should be to their fan bases, to the games that they're making, to the companies that they're representing, the franchises that they are growing. It's not to say that as a game developer you can't have a higher aspiration and even make games like these. The problem is that games like these, under people like this Reyes woman, are again not playing the same game under the same rules as everyone else, nor are they making honest projects that speak to them. What they're doing is co-opting the medium for their own purposes, at times even entire popular franchises, which thankfully is not the case with Take Us North. Thankfully, Take Us North is an original project rather than one that stole a franchise's identity to do whatever the fuck it wanted with it, like what happened with Dragon Age Veilguard and Soy Squad Killed the Justice League last year, among others. And they're doing it with external backing to push their politics into the mainstream. And holy shit, is this one hell of a Russian nesting doll. This game has some really deep ties. The main woman ahead of the project herself, Carla Reyes, has ties to Wings as an advisor. Wings is a highly controversial funding source for indie games, and of course the types of games that they fund is more activist shit like this. She's also a global shaper at the World Economic Forum, which is just lovely to see as well. Like, yeah, there's nothing I love more than elites on the other side of the world dictating what is right and wrong. Oh, and speaking of elites, she's also tied up with Visa. I don't need to spend 10 minutes going over them and the recent shit that's been going on, as it has been so insanely widespread and impactful that it makes me sick. She also has some other accolades that she's been given without earning them, like Game Changer for Games Industry Biz. Who knows how the fuck do you get this award? I mean, if she can get it without even making a game, maybe I can get it too. I mean, shit, who knows? She also has something from Forbes, and of course, she is a BAFTA juror. Sometimes you guys wonder why pile of garbage games gain awards at stuff like BAFTAs and other award shows. Well, this is the reason why. They got activists on the boards. So if you didn't already know, here's an example of it. Then, the entire goddamn game even got itself showcased at the United Nations. Bro... Brother, I don't even know what to say, honestly. I don't even need to say anything else at all, to be honest. I don't even need to say anything. The whole ass United Nations. And by the way, you wanna know what the codename for the game was over there? The American Dream. Could you be more on the nose? I mean, really, the American Dream? Glorifying the incredibly dangerous border crossings, the exploitation that happens, and illegal immigrants that aren't even American? That's the American Dream. Cited by an organization whose Secretary General isn't even fucking American? Well, okay then, if you say so. Anyway, Carla Reyes and their game are also potentially tied with Sweet Baby Inc., or at the very least people from SPI, but honestly, I don't even care about this at this point. Like, it doesn't even matter. We got WINGS, the World Economic Forum, Visa, and the goddamn UN in plain sight. This woman in this game is a goddamn walking red flag. Oh, and please, of course, please do not forget Microsoft. You ever want to complain about Microsoft and their struggles of late, of relating to gamers, and their total inability of making actually good, worthwhile games with all of those dozens and dozens and dozens of studios that they bought? Well, make sure to never forget the kind of garbage that Microsoft likes to tie itself up with. The kind of thing that they believe is worth highlighting and funding instead of throwing their money behind much more worthwhile indie projects like the one on screen right now. I've been playing it for the past few hours. It's called Nightling and it's fun. If Take Us North was left to its own devices, all it would have right now is around $50,000 raised through its own Kickstarter. This shit would be dead in the water because nobody wants to play garbage like this except for the morons making it. But because we're living in clown world, we have to put up with this clown show. Now, what's the problem with the game? I hear some lobotomites say online. Lobotomites like this guy, for example, with a very common sentiment among the few tards trying to defend the game, trying to equate its illegal nature with all of the other illegal stuff that we already do in various other games, and that doesn't matter because it's fictional. Hell, even failed game journalist Alyssa Mercante came out online and crashed out over this game, angry as shit because of the backlash the game was generating, while doing the usual thing of playing victim or doing misinformation, you know, the usual stuff. It's already something that is, it's like part of the package. Well, let's talk about it. Fully, you know, honest, good faith, etc. Because at surface level, yeah, I agree. When I play GTA and I steal cars, Rockstar shouldn't suffer for it. It's just a video game. I mean, this is a story as old as time. Well, at least as old as time in the games industry, with violent games being villainized for allowing kids and teenagers to engage with, well, violence in games, like blasting demons in Doom or the entirety of the GTA series and all of the illegalities that you can do in there. So on, so forth. I mean, hell, I just played through Mafia the Old Country for my 1-hour breakdown video of it, and I did a lot of bad things in there. I've also been doing a lot of really bad things in Schedule 1. I really have. I'm thinking about going pro, honestly.
Give you 3 seconds to get your ass out of here. 1, 2.
This is my own private domicile and I will not be harassed! Bitch!
Video games should be a medium that is open to free expression always. We should always be very strict when it comes to censoring games or content in general, no matter what it is and no matter what it, like, associates with politically. However, the games that people make should also always be freely open to criticism, and that's precisely what happens with games like these. Games like these don't get cancel cultured like the far leftists have been doing for over a goddamn decade now. They just get widely rejected and mocked because they are unrelatable, virtue signalistic trash that is honestly so bad that we don't even know what is more embarrassing about them, the gameplay or the writing. Often it's both. And so when it comes down to it, it's not really, you know, about whether the game should exist or not. It's not even up for me to say. I mean, if it was up for me to say, I would say yes, of course the game has a right to exist. I don't really have a problem with it existing. However, the studio can't whine and whinge and cry and all of these other people as well, like Mercante and shit, you know, getting all mad because people have been vocal against it. Because that's just the way it is. That's people expressing how they feel about the game. Like, maybe instead of wasting time with these stupid arguments and back and forths, maybe these people should instead realize that if a reception to a game is so bad, maybe, I don't know, just maybe, there's something really bad about it. And the thing about Take Us North is that it has a special element to it, in the form of that aforementioned social impact bullshit that these activists in the industry love to use to their advantage, love to tout on their web pages and presentations, love to benefit from with grants and investments, but hate to suffer the consequences of in situations like these. You see, when I'm playing GTA, I don't have Rockstar coming out on stage and making a full fucking presentation about how crime is fantastic, about how carjacking is great and how we should be more empathetic towards carjackers because, hey, everybody's gotta eat, right? When I was playing through Mafia: The Old Country, I didn't have the studio put out a message in their stupid ass game or anywhere in their website defending or glorifying murder, theft, drugs, or any other sort of illegal conspiratory behavior that Mafia families got up to. When I'm playing Schedule 1, I don't have the creator coming out and giving everybody a fucking press kit with all that they need to start making their own meth. They also don't hire illegals to go and hey, guys, in the creation of this game, I actually hired real drug dealers to come and cook at my house, and then we sold the product, and I supervised the whole process so that I could make my game feel more authentic. Like, none of this shit happens. If you want to make a game where you play as a smuggler or any other type of character, it doesn't really matter, that is a criminal and is doing bad, immoral, questionable, or straight up illegal things, go right ahead. That's tons of games. But those games don't state that that shit is for positive social change. Take Us North, on the other hand, does. Take Us North wants to reap the virtue signalistic rewards of posing as a fucking socially conscious game from socially conscious devs trying to impact culture and society through positive change driven by glorifying real-life illegal actions and undermining, misinforming, and misrepresenting the gruesome, brutal realities of illegal immigration and the problems that have come with it, to the point of affecting millions of lives and killing thousands of innocent people. I'm sorry, but you don't get to do that. You don't get to fucking pull your little social impact card to make your game and essentially make it more than a game, make it a whole goddamn piece of interactive propaganda, and then hide under the excuse that, oh, other video games allow playable characters to do crimes as well. Nice try and all, I'm sure you got a few lobotomites drooling from both corners of their mouth with that little switcheroo, but that's bullshit and you know it. And that also brings us to a really funny and stupid side of this story, which is the utter idiocy of the studio going down this direction. Because the funny thing is that you could make a story like this that works and that couldn't have like, what's the word here? Basically such a strong oppositional weakness. Take for example that stupid ass game that was shown a few months ago, Relooted, I think it was. It's that game where you play as a black... I'm sorry guys, it's just that it's yet another one of these socially conscious games, and you're playing as black people who break in and loot stuff.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, I'm back. More specifically, you play as African people and you are robbing museums who stole your ancestors' artifacts. The message is still pretty blatantly tied to contemporary modern SJW stuff that usually comes up again every few weeks, usually about the British Museum. But at least you look at it and you see the clear, stupid, fictional, cartoony BS behind it. So basically it's just some cringe for the theme with your usual terrible character designs, but at least there's no actual British museum and people talking about how right it is to go break in and steal shit. It also looks goofy and sci-fi in a way. I don't know, there's enough separation. Similarly, Take Us North could have done a game that hints at this kind of thing while keeping itself purely fictional, but oh no sir, that's not what we do here with this one. This one is the next level, you know what I mean? Relooted is rookie shit. Relooted, Veilguard, Unknown 9, Dustboard, Soy Squad, Concord, Shadows, etc. All these games are rookie-level activism. This new one though, this is the big enchilada. This one has all of those WEF and UN billionaires gooning all over it. This one is special, and I can't wait to see where this goes next, because by the way, you probably know this already, but if you don't, everything about the game has been scrubbed. It's not just the Gamescom trailer that they removed everything. Their website got nuked into orbit, the studio, Anima Interactive, deleted their account from Twitter, the woman, Carla Reyes, deleted her account from Twitter as well, the company's Instagram also got nuked, basically the whole thing vanished, at least for now. That's why I'm saying I can't wait to see what's next, because this isn't even a, oh, screw Twitter, this is the worst place on earth, I am moving to Blue Sky. I mean, they are still active on Blue Sky, at least last I checked they are, but this goes across the board. Again, their website, which would naturally be neutral ground, not just for people to check out of curiosity, but also for potential partners to check out as well, and for more accolades to be displayed and advertised on, because of course you can bet your cannolis that the game's trailer is going to get all sorts of awards. It already has some. Nobody knows what the awards are for, but I mean, hey, they're there. I mean, let's just be honest here, guys. When people start snooping into your background, your funding sources, your social impact commitments, your connections, etc., and you just delete everything and get the hell out of Dodge, it looks pretty bad. At best, it shows that you're totally insecure about this project and all the stuff therein. Honestly, it shows that not just about the studio, but their backers in general. In fact, it may have even been one of these backers that had them take all of this stuff down. After all, activists are activists, they live for this kind of thing. That's why they went to Gamescom in the first place. I don't think the game is going to get cancelled. I think this is definitely coming out. I wouldn't, however, be surprised if maybe some parts of the game were changed in order to fictionalize it a bit more and make it less blatant, because literally as it stands right now, and with all of those aforementioned problems of them advertising themselves as a studio caked in activists pushing for social impact, what we have is literally a game promoting illegal immigration by a studio from Los Angeles in a country that is currently making a huge push towards fixing that problem. That's why it doesn't matter what any of us thinks in regards to whether the game should exist or not. Only the country's laws can figure that out now. So maybe they changed the whole US-Mexico border thing to make it less blatant, but at the same time, I don't know, because I mean, everyone already knows what this is. Everyone heard her speak at that stupid-ass showcase at Gamescom, and even though they and Jeff Keighley deleted the whole thing, there's still Asmongold's reaction video, which by now has already been backed up by thousands of people. One way or another, regardless of what this studio does with this game, if there's something the companies, investors, and IP holders out there should take from this, if they still want to make money that is, it should be that they need to get away from these narratives, man. They need to reject this stuff and get making good, fun, badass pieces of escapism again. They don't need to take this thing and reverse it and present the opposite ideology. Just don't do ideologies at all, because this stuff is going to sink them, and they're going to go down one way or another, either from shutting down or being slowly bought off by giants like Tencent until they lose control of their own studios and companies. It's going to happen, it's already happening, look at Ubisoft. In the meantime, I'm definitely going to keep my eyes out for it. Last year, I only started making videos in September, so I was kind of late to the whole Dustborn bandwagon, and of course in September I didn't even know if I was going to make it to get monetized or not, so I was broke and I didn't want to spend any money on it. But now I would definitely be down to try this game out and see just how crazy it gets. If anything else comes up in the meantime, I might make a follow-up video, but for now, there we go. Thanks for watching, everyone, especially if you made it this far. If you enjoyed the video, giving it a like would be a huge help to help the channel, and hey, subscribe if you're new. We just crossed 20,000 and it would be amazing if we could get to 25 before the year is out.
Let's up those numbers!
I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care of yourselves.